it has taken me a lifetime to recognize when I should not feel obligated to make a photograph. That is important. If I do not see an image in terms of the subject and its creative potential at the time, I no longer contest my instincts. That is very, very powerful and is very, very true. So he basically sees this incredible landscape and is just has the image in his mind of what he wanted to get. He has that moment in his mind and he keeps returning, but just doesn't feel like it's as good as it was when he first went, and therefore he doesn't take a photo. He's very much someone who trusts their intuition. He's very technical. People have referred to him as a scientist, which I don't think is true, but he uses something called the zone system, which allows full tonal range of the blacks, greys and whites in your photo to make it much more impactful and dramatic. But I think he's definitely someone who trusts their gut. And he says in another part of this book, if I feel moved to make a photo, I will. If I don't feel moved, I just won't press the shutter. And I think a lot of photographers, especially the ones that are in nature or doing street photography or something like that, don't force yourself to make a photo because you'll just end up taking a photo. You won't be making it. And what I mean by making a photo is visualizing the image in your mind before you press the shutter. And that's something Ansel Adams has definitely drilled into me. He just always rambles on about the power of visualization in your photography and making the image and seeing it as the finished print in your mind, and then using the camera as a tool to actualize and make that visualization a reality. So that's what he's referring to here. If he doesn't see an image, he won't take the shot. And I think if we don't see an image in our mind's eye, then I think it won't be good to make a shot because it just will be lackluster. He's also referring to, on the same page, he's also said, at this point I was not a professional or creative photographer, but an ardent hobbyist, if that term can be applied to a curious youth who wanted to try everything within reach. Though I was still deeply immersed in music during the decade of the 20s, photography and hiking were my beloved diversions. From music studies, I applied the axiom of practice makes perfect to my photography. Mastering the craft of photography came through years of continued work, as did the ability to make images of personal expression. Step by inevitable step, the intuitive process slowly became part of my picture making. So it's clear that Ansel Adams believes you can build up that gut instinct of when there's a photo opportunity and when there's not through practice. It's all about reps, reps, reps. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Naval, Ansel Adams, David Yarrow, all these greats that I've been studying and I've been sharing with you guys, passing the knowledge on, which Ansel Adams is ambassador for doing. We'll get to that later. They always talk about the importance of reps, and Naval says it best. He refers to it as iterations. So if you're just repeating something, that means you're not necessarily learning, because you're just doing the same thing over and over again, and you probably won't get results from that. The better way to describe it is iterations. And iterations are basically you do it and then you do it again, but you change something. And by changing something, by changing your behavior, you're learning, and you'll be hopefully changing your behavior to try and get a better result and a better outcome. And that's what Ansel Adams is referring to here when he says practice makes perfect in his photography, because the more iterations he does, the more it becomes an instinctive routine and an instinctive process that he doesn't actually have to think too much about. He just sees, for example, he sees an amazing landscape in the distance, and then he'll just know exactly what to do. He'll just go set the camera up, do the exposures, create a composition, like off gut instinct. There won't be too much front brain thinking, and it saves a lot of energy, but it also means it's a much more intuitive and creative process. But he says, step by inevitable step, the intuitive process slowly became part of my picture making. I think that's important that he mentioned inevitable step by inevitable step. It slowly became part of my picture making, because it's clear that it didn't just happen overnight. It happened over thousands of photos and hours and years. He also says, if something moves me, he doesn't question it. If he's talking again about intuition there. He's saying if he just instinctively feels like he should take a photo of what he's seeing, he'll do it. He won't question it. And then he also won't force himself to make a photo if he doesn't get moved. So yeah, that is where I'll leave it. I highly, highly, highly recommend Ansel Adams' Autobiography. There is so much more to learn